Hi, my name is Sally Barnard, an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer. Welcome to Call Me Zena, a true story into the spiritual realms. Join me as I sit and discuss the journey of self-discovery, and with the help of my spirit guides, it's time to trust your intuition. Sit with me and call in live, 888-994-4995, Studio A. And now onto the show.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I did. I had a good time. So it was nice to sit down, be waited on by my friend. We went over to my friend. She made a beautiful meal. Thank you, Mindy, because I know you watched the show. It was a beautiful meal and beautiful company. So now I'm going to open the show up to the audience. We've got a nice studio audience, and my book here is Call Me Zena. I usually read something from my book, a prose, but actually because we have someone who's getting ready to leave in 10 minutes, I'm putting you on the spot, I know that. But I wanted to, if you have a question, please ask me, or if you'd like someone first to go, and then you can kind of get some idea how the show's going. But I know you only have 10 minutes. So.
Yes, thank you, Sally.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
So you're kind of introducing me more to this whole spiritual realm. So one of the things that we were talking about quickly before the show started was the belief in past lives.
Right.
So sometimes when we have special talents that we maybe have no connection to anybody in our family, how do we know that might be something from the past or just an innate talent?
Beautiful. Since you haven't been watching my show too, that was a wonderful question. Thank you for that. The answer is basically we can't be sure, but I go very much with intuition. And if you feel like someone comes into the room, or you're presented, you're talking to someone and you feel a communication there, and you know what, it could be good or bad, but that feeling is something that I go very much by that, and I've met many people that do that today, that you feel like you've known them before. In fact, even in the studio, which you've definitely seen, Dawn, people have come up to me and I haven't even said anything, and you know that too. Oh, I feel like I know you. So that's some indication, I believe, that we have met someone before. Also, when we have good and bad things happen in our lives, and I believe very much in karma, but karma is what we put upon ourselves. It's not a set rule. But I think that people also come into our lives and we can have problems, and it could be that we're working out a karma with someone. It's not always that way, but I think the majority of time when you get that feeling, yes, I think that we've known that person. We come down in groups, and it can be a large group. I mean, it could be 30, it could be 50 people, it could be even more. Some of us stay and they're on the other side of the veil. But the people that have come down with us, I believe that we work out before we come that we're going to have that type of discussion. I have no way, obviously, of proving this, but I've also started to listen to psychics myself, and they say the same thing that I'm saying. So yes, I think we do meet each other.
Because I often get one of those questions when I meet somebody, or those comments, oh, I think I've met you before, or you have such a familiar face.
Well, then that's good, and I'm glad that you opened the show with that, because take note of that. I mean, even if you're kind of on the border of maybe not even believing yet, maybe, it's up to the individual, but somewhere in your mind you might think, well, maybe there is something to that. And also a deja vu. You can have a deja vu, and you can be talking to somebody, you kind of know what's going to happen next. I don't believe any of this is coincidental. I've had too much happen in my own life, and I often say that I teach by example of what's happened to me. It's up to the person to receive it, and if they don't want to, that's fine too. I understand. I'm not referring to you, but people that say, I don't understand that, that's fine, because we're not always ready to accept it, and I was that way myself. So that was good. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So this is the first time you've delved into the world of spirituality or psychic?
Absolutely. I mean, I think that I understand, and I'm open to the fact that there's got to be more things out there. This world is too vast and there's too much unknown. And if God, the all-being creator, could create us, what else could he create? Right? Or what other things are happening in the background that we just can't understand or aren't privy to or don't have the senses to?
And that's interesting, the fact that you're sitting here, and I said, can you, maybe you can stay for the show. And you said the 10 minutes, but that's all maybe that we need. It's up to, obviously, anybody that's listening. They don't have to continue listening, but I believe that we're opening up a little pathway for someone. We're on a journey, and that was perfect. That was great timing here.
I want to flip and ask Lisa, do you feel like all the things that you've done in your past have led you to where you are? Like there's a higher presence or a guardian that you might have, a guide?
I don't know for sure, like a guardian or a guide. I do believe that, even my family or whoever in my life that's passed over, I do believe they get to still be part, right, of my journey. And I think that listening to our intuition is a guide, and maybe that's where that intuition comes from. It's from something else that I just don't understand. But every step that I take or every path that I've been on, I think is going to bring me to where I'm supposed to be. And I think that if I would fight that all the time, I would constantly feel anxious or be, going against the grain. I've always been I call it a find a way, make a way kind of person. So if I want something and I can't see the way to it, I just am going to work and it'll all figure itself out in the end.
And that's really how it works. I mean, I often say that. I mean, if we listen just to ourselves, we don't necessarily have to go into a meditation. Does that help? I'm sure it does. I don't completely meditate the way that they tell us to. I do it my own way, and I know when I'm on my show, I'm somewhere else actually because I don't remember the show. But I think, unless I see it on a recording and I remember part of it, and you guys know that too, if I give messages. But we have to start somewhere. And if I feel that, hopefully I am telling people what I'm telling them, and they're a little, I believe you have to be a little bit open-minded, because without that, and have some belief, because without that, I would call that, it's okay, but I don't believe that person might be ready. But when someone says, I want to listen or I'd like to hear, that means they're starting their journey. And of course, it's up to the individual. I can only tell people, listen. Maybe you can relate, maybe you can't, but that's okay. We have to start somewhere. I started and I had everything thrown at me very fast, so I had no choice.
Well, I think that for me, right, so I grew up Catholic, traditional Catholic, right? We don't really read the Bible. We just go to church and do what everybody tells us. And it wasn't until I was really on my own in college, doing my own journey and really being intentional and thoughtful in prayer did I ever really feel like, okay, like I feel there's a presence out there that's not myself, so I don't think I'm going to ever understand everything, right? Because it's not for me, and I just don't think, we have the capacity to understand all that's out there. But I do think at points we're either open to it or we're not open to it, either what's going on in our life or where we are, mentally either.
Exactly, and if everybody was ready at the same time, it would. Well, I know with me, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew there was a lot of synchronicity coming into my life, and I'm going, how is that possible? And suddenly I'm painting, having given a message at the age that I was. I mean, this was not that long ago, but I'm drawing. So I had to literally, someone had to bang me on the head, which they actually, not bang me on the head, but they tapped me on the shoulder to tell me what was happening to me. It's a long story. It's actually in my book, Call Me Zena. It's all there. But I needed something big to happen to me, and it did. And was I scared? No, because I had always known, as you said, that there was something more. And I'm still on that journey. I'm still learning an awful lot. Every day I'm learning something. So thank you for that. It was a nice discussion.
Do you feel like Lisa has a guide or a presence with her that's, I don't want to use the guide again, but guiding her on this next pathway?
I do believe we all have guides, every one of us, and we have several. But I think the only way I can describe it to you is they're working overtime with you, if that makes sense.
Does that mean that I'm a handful?
No, not at all. I'm getting goosebumps as I'm saying that. It means that you are definitely, whatever your endeavor is now, and I know a little about you because we met a couple of hours ago, that now what you're doing, this is what I'm feeling, is all going to, everything that you've done to this point is suddenly going to show itself very much within the next few months. Whatever endeavor or whatever you're doing, and we won't go into everything, but you know what you've been doing, it's all going to mesh together, if that makes sense. So if you
Fantastic.
start on something else right now, you're going to pull from the experience that you had maybe 20 years ago. And then as that continues, you're going to pull from another experience, because I know you've had a few, you've done a few things, as I have too. But it's all coming together. That's why I'm saying they're working overtime, not because
Not because I'm a handful.
no, because they want to bring it all together for you. They don't interfere with our lives because we have free will, but they will help you, and it's up to you, absolutely 100% up to you with what you do with it. But you'll find many things well, they do fall in place. We just don't know that they're falling in place. But once you open up a little bit to this and you see things happening, you may even remember me saying this to you.
Okay.
So say, oh yes, I think Sally, Zena, whatever you want to call me, mentioned something like that. And as you begin to open up more, you'll see where you're experiencing life, because you've had a lot of experiences in this life from the short time that I've met you, was all for a reason, to lead you to where you're going to be going. And I would say within the next 3 to 6 months, you'll have some idea what I'm talking about. I don't know. And
Okay.
even if I did, I probably would not say it, because it's not up to me, it's up to you. But you will see, I think, what you're saying. So keep in touch with me, okay? Let me
Absolutely.
know. All right, thank you so much.
Does that make sense to you?
It does. It does.
I feel like Lisa has this calming presence around
And
her.
I'm glad she's not crying, because the last couple of messages that I've been giving people, I see, apparently I'm sending people, making them cry a little bit.
Or
but
maybe
that-
it's you're giving them the release, right? They've been holding on
yes,
to
that's
something
very
and
possible
anxiety
too.
eyes,
Yes,
and that's
yes.
just the release
So
for them.
thank you for smiling.
Of course. Thank you.
I had someone who walked in for a question, but I guess she walked out. Gordon, do you have a question for Sally?
What do you believe in fate? Like that we're supposed to be like doing something and then you meet someone and then
Yes.
uh,
I know where you're going with this, and I like that too. Thank you. Because, yes, our lives are, again, the right people come into our, well, say right or wrong, it doesn't matter, but the experiences that we're meant to experience, the people will come into our lives. It's up to us what we do with it. You may just shrug it off if somebody comes in, but I believe very much in following your passion, and that's what I've done. And having said that, for the last, well, I certainly here, I've never done, as we were saying, anything like I'm doing now, but every opportunity is opening up for me. And it's up to me to follow that path, as it is with anybody else. So I believe that we can manifest, actually, I'm going to say anything, but we've got to believe that, you know, and say anything within reason, I guess, because people are going to say, what is she talking about? But in the journey that we're taking, if we follow our passion, if we will manifest what we need for that particular point in our lives, if that makes sense. So yes, the right people do show themselves. They definitely do. It's not coincidence, it's synchronicity that's happening. So be aware of that and see that.
Gordon, do you manifest?
yes,
You do.
the positive and negative stuff, but yeah.
But that's okay too, because there's a balance. Thank you. See you soon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Positive and negative.
Because which we've talked about before, Dawn, if everything is positive, we're not going to get an opportunity sometimes to learn. So we get the negativity, or vice versa. Out of negativity can come positivity. So everything is up to us. It's all there, but it's definitely up to us to take it in, accept it, and follow a path. It may not be our time to do this, and I totally understand that too. But I think that if you do, for me personally, it makes life a lot easier, especially in the world as it is today, you know?
Well, you stay positive all the time. You had some things that last year that along the way.
Yeah.
But you always stayed positive.
I've tried. I mean, I'm still human, you know, but yes, because what I'm learning, and I hear a lot of this, is out of negativity comes positivity. And I know that I'm following a path that I've chosen. So if I let some of that negativity, we all have we have a lot of negativity in our lives, anybody, no matter what they believe. But if I let that rule my life at that time, I'm going down the wrong road. I forget that sometimes. I have to remind myself, Actually, I should switch on one of my shows once in a while, because I'm learning. And as we learn, I'm going to say good or bad, positive or negative, will happen along that journey. But and it's hard. It's not easy to remain positive when a lot of things seem to be happening. But I say to myself, and I tell people, this too shall pass. And if by saying that, it actually opens up another way of thinking. Because what's happening now, if it's negative, could still be happening tomorrow or the next day. But it's up to us to change our attitude on that, to look at, well, if I wasn't continually thinking of this, how can I change that situation? How can I change it to make it more positive? Now, having said that, sometimes you have to let go completely of that situation. And you say to yourself, this is too negative for me. I'm learning, yes, I'm learning, but I have to let go, because that will lower our vibrational energy if we continue. But again, the decision is entirely up to us. It's up to us.
I'm going to take a commercial break. Are you okay?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
So how do you do that, right? Life happens, things get negative, people get sick, people are worried about things, finances, health, family, right? As your family grows, more and more things come into play, your kids, your grandchildren, right? More worries. How do you, not you, but how can one of your viewers say, you know what, this is negative, I'm going to stay in a positive space. I'm going to give it to God or the universe to take this and handle it as appropriate.
Actually, that's a good way, because even write it down, and I mean, in therapy, they'll tell you, write something down. If you can get rid of that sometimes by writing it down, you will actually see a different way of handling a situation. It doesn't happen in every case, but write down what it is. You can tear it up. I used to hear that. People say, well, in therapy, or bang on one of those things that you punch. Yeah. It actually works, because what it's doing is it's changing the vibration. Just suddenly hearing that. I think we're going to have to go.
Take a commercial break?
Excuse me. Yeah.
All right, let's take a quick commercial break. Get Sally some water. That's what they do this when they don't want you to talk.
Exactly. They really do. Yeah.
More to come. 888-994-4995, Studio A. Give Sally a call. We'll be right back.
Crazy.
A true story, Call Me Zena, is the telling of Sally Barnard. Born in London, England at the end of the Second World War, she came into the U.S. in 1979. A mother of 2 and a grandmother of 4, she settled in Florida and worked in real estate. While going through a difficult time in her life, she was admitted into a hospital overnight in December of 2005. While settling back into her life, she began having vivid dreams and documenting them. By the 3rd dream, a lady gave her a message to draw. With no artistic background or interest into art or history, Sally listened to her dreams and grabbed a paper and crayons. Today, she has over 150 pieces of inspiring art and poetry. This book follows her journey and interpretations of these messages. She describes in detail how she is able to astral a project and who she has met along her travels, including her spirit guides. This book will show you how anything is possible with an open mind. These events have changed Sally's life and direction, and this book will show you how to change yours. Purchase Call Me Zena on Amazon today, authorhouse.com and amazon.com.
My story starts at 4 or 5 years old. My name is Sally Barnard, and I was born at the end of the Second World War, in the middle of an air raid siren going off. My parents were in a movie theater, and my mother went into labor. My father ran out of the movie theater, but there was no cabs to be available because everybody is running for cover. However, they found one, and the taxi driver was given the address to take my father and my mother to the hospital. As my mother was in labor, about a half an hour, I arrived at exactly midnight. I think I was fed messages at a very early age. My parents used to like to play cards, and they had a card game every Wednesday or Thursday night at home when I was a baby. And I actually said to them one day, why do you keep waking me up at night? The card game is waking me up, and I can't get back to sleep so quickly. And they looked at each other and they said, we're not really waking her up. They were quite away from my bedroom. And they called in a psychic to say what in the world is going on. And the psychic said that I'm getting many messages that are waking me up at night. I thought whatever I was experiencing, other people were experiencing too. You don't know until you realize that you are different. Many things were happening to me, things that were unexplainable to me. What I had dreamt was happening. I could sense many things, and the things that I was sensing were coming about, but something was going on. I will explain to you everything. You're ready. Thank you for joining me through this journey of self-discovery with the help of my spirit guides. I'm Sally Barnard, and you can find my book at authorhouseandamazon.com or visit my art on my clothing in my boutique at artbysallybarnard.com. Now back to the show. Hi, I had to have my water. For some reason, I think sometimes they tell me to stop talking. So
Isn't
I
that
have to have
crazy?
it is. But that's okay. I'm fine now. I'm drinking my water and I'm good. It's water.
It's just water. So we were talking about some happenings you had last week.
Yes.
You're going on a vacation, which is lovely. You're going on a vacation for, I guess, the holidays, right?
For
Christmas
9
time?
days,
For
yeah, from the 20th onwards. Yes.
And you got this confirmation email. Steve got an email, which is like, we need this information, which is nothing unusual, except that it was addressed to whom?
Elizabeth,
Which
and
is
our
crazy.
viewers know, and it was spelt with the way that we would spell Elizabeth. So she was her way of saying to us, she's around us, and she knew, as far I'm getting the goosebumps, that I would text you immediately. And it was Steve actually that showed it to me. He said, "Look at this." So, and then I can't even begin to tell you what happened after that evening.
So tell me, what happened?
Well, this is sounding, even for me, it's really, really strange. For some reason, and I sent you the proof of this,
Right.
my phone decides once in a while, it's between 3 to 4 in the morning, to take pictures of my room. I'm sleeping, I have no idea. And I showed you, I mean, I would show them now, but I'm getting pictures of what's going on in the spirit world. It's the only way that I can say this. And you saw the pictures. I mean, it's dark, and yet there's things in the dark. And this is only something that's been happening to me. I've never had this before. It started a couple of months ago. I've had it now twice that my camera on my phone has taken pictures. So actually what I will do, if the viewers are listening from Call Me Zena, I will post them on the site.
Well, what do you
Because
think it means?
I think they're just letting us know that they're around us. Because how, if you think about it, the name Elizabeth meant so much to us. And that evening, I think it was that same evening, I get pictures. And on one of them, you can definitely see 2 women. I mean, you can see it in the background. It's even strange for me. I believe very much in this, so I can understand people saying, "Oh, what is she talking about?" But it happened to me, and you've seen the pictures too, Dawn. So just like, I guess, just be aware of what's going on. I don't really have too much fear, so when I turn the light off at night, I'll go, "Okay, whatever you want to show me, show me." And I guess this is what's happening.
But when people get messages like that, and they know it's a message, or you see your loved one's name in a license plate, or their birthday, something like that, so it's a reminder that they're there. But what if you're looking for an answer?
Well, the answers are there too. In fact, actually one of my pros, the answers are all around
So you
us.
should maybe read that one.
Let's go for this one. Okay, I'm going to find it. I have a lot in here. Let me see.
Because I think, right, we get the validation that they're around us, but then what if we're looking for an answer and we're just not sure? You found
I just
it?
listened. I just opened this. It's
Okay.
listen. I'm not sure if this is exactly, but having opened it, it's probably will answer some of this. And I was in a meditative state when I wrote this. I knew very little of what I was even writing. What is documented within our subconsciousness? Often we ask what we do not remember, for it is only we who have the answers. Listen to your thoughts. Listen to your dreams. Answers are all around us. Okay, people who are in your surroundings, they all have hidden messages. Sleep and you dream. Think and you have thoughts. Walk and you will find. Hear and you will see what is to be. For my children, we are all blessed with this. What wonders are buried within our souls that we call our subconscious? It holds our being since time began. Understand now. Listen, think, feel. Go in peace. So it kind of answers it. Am I surprised that I picked that page? Yes, I'm still surprised. But yes, the answers are there, Dawn. We are given. Ask and you will receive. It's up to us now to open up to listen to that, and it will carry on. The synchronicity is there. You have to reach, I believe, you don't have to, I always say you don't have to do anything, but when you reach a certain vibrational energy, which I have and which we are on that energy right now, because how was I able to do that? That energy travels and you keep yourself at a higher vibration, and on that higher vibration you can actually see more, you can hear more, because if you're lower it's like all these things coming at you. But if you open up and lift that vibrational energy just a little bit, many things happen. I'm nowhere near the highest vibration, but at least I've opened my mind to that. The fact we just opened that page, it was relevant. Well, not quite, I looked for a second. It was relevant to what we're talking about. So going back to a license plate, or somebody comes into your life, it follows. It will happen. It does happen. But you have to be aware of your surroundings.
So how do people open up to their higher vibrational energy when there's constant negative bombardment?
And that's a very good question too, with difficulty, because we're in a very negative world right now. People are angry, they're upset, they shout at one another. So in order to reach a higher vibrational energy, you have to start being positive, hard. When you turn on the news and you even movies that you watch, the violence is there. But if you're aware of that and you say to yourself, I've actually had enough of this, you don't have to watch the news. Yes, you need to I do. I watch the news. I don't watch it a lot, but I'll switch it on because we need to know we're living in this world. Try not to take it in. Some people that are at the level that I'm at won't touch the news. I believe that we need to know a little bit of what's going on. So we go on from there, and you'll see we give ourselves tests, actually. Hi, Josh.
I'm not even sitting
nice
down
to see
yet.
you. Okay, I see Dawn. I have to say hello to you because you always have a few questions for me. So hopefully that explained it a little bit. So what are we going to discuss today, Josh?
You have a question?
Have a question?
Yeah, there's nothing, I guess, in particular, because I know the end of and I'm on screen. The end of the year is about to come up. So just like mental preparations for the beginning of next year?
Yes, and again, as we were talking about positive and negativity, I believe that, it's good and bad when we have all these celebrations, because there are people that are very lonely. There are people that have lost loved ones, as I have too, and it brings back reminders of who we've lost. But again, and it's up to us, but we are here and we're still in our lives here. As I say to myself, I am only human and I'm here and things upset me. But try to lift that vibrational energy, because it is around us this time of the year. The good thing is that people are celebrating. And of course there's the other side of that, as I just mentioned. But the majority of people out there are getting ready for Christmas or Hanukkah, depending on but they're both falling at the same time, I believe, this year. So prepare yourself. Prepare family that is coming. Some people don't get on with family, some people do. But it's what we do this time of the year. So it's best to keep at that higher vibrational energy. How do we do that, as the last question was? By trying, I'm going to say trying to remain positive, because it's not easy. But when you're aware that you need to be positive, it makes it a little easier. And I used to say, fake it till you make it. Smile even if you don't feel like smiling. It works. It will work, even if it's just for that minute. It'll change somebody else who may be suffering a little bit, like, oh my gosh, it's getting near that time of the year. Smile at them and say, I hope you have the best time that you can during the holiday season, however you want. But it helps. Excuse me.
Well, I know you're talking about lifting your vibrational energy and connecting with people and all that. One of my buddies is just going through stuff. I'll put it simply as that. He's been in his head constantly, and I'm trying my best to help. I'm just at the point where it's like, you know what? You're obviously not listening to anything I'm saying. You're just staying in your head for whatever reason that's going through you. should I just let that man be and let him figure things on his own, or should I still provide that support even though I feel like I'm at my end?
Well, yeah, there's a yes and a no to that, Josh. If someone is going through a difficult period in their time, not everybody does want to listen. And I'm not saying sit there all day and listen to what he's saying, because that can end up affecting us too when we do that. But be there if he needs you, even if it's just for a few minutes. At least I have no idea what he's going through. But people that are going through something, there is a reason for that. But you can't take on all that energy. Nobody can, without it eventually affecting you. So you sound like you may be at the point where you are at that point.
Yeah, we're just like, I'm trying to just go play basketball or go to the beach with him. But
Perfect.
that whole entire time while we're there, it's him complaining about what's going on with him
Well,
instead of being
okay.
present in the moment.
Remain present in the moment yourself. So if you're doing something, stay where you are, because you're teaching him actually by example. He may not want to know, but the fact that you're doing that is helping. But you also have to know when you've had enough, even if it's just for that day. You need to walk away just to clear yourself from that energy, because it will, I'm not saying it will, and it can pass it on, and then the day becomes negative for both of you. So you don't want that. But I think the fact that he can see you are getting on with your life and you're not all about just listening to him might help him a little bit. I'm saying him, I don't know whoever it is. Yeah. So just make sure that you remain positive, and when you've had enough, you walk away. Doesn't mean you're walking away. You can come back. Hope that helped you a little bit.
Sweet.
Does it help? Because it's hard when someone comes to you and you want to be there. It goes back to not being able to say no, because you need to be there for your friend. But yet, if it's bringing you down and he's not going up, then there's this disconnect.
And sometimes they need a little nudge and a reminder that maybe you're not going to be there all the time, because that can wake us up sometimes. You rely on someone to listen to all your troubles, and then suddenly, if you're not there, I mean, oh my goodness, maybe I said too much. I mean, maybe I should stop talking that much. I mean, if it gets really bad, maybe he needs to see a professional and talk about whatever it is.
No, I've told him plenty of times already.
Okay, but that,
No, it's just funny how the mental psyche works, I guess.
Yes.
Because he's seen me go through my rough times.
Right.
And, I mean, I try my best to still hang out with everyone, but obviously now that it's the reverse, I can see it from an outside box.
See, that's where the negative is turning into a positive for yourself. So you can see that.
I don't know.
But you can only help somebody so much. They've also got to want to be helped. A lot of people, and I'm not saying that this happens all the time, but they're stuck in that situation. And for some reason, they don't want to get out of it. No matter what you say, it's going over their head. They're not going to listen until you take action on your part. This is what they're telling me to tell you. To take the action, and that sometimes is to step away. Even if you only know it's going to be for a day or 2 or 3, that person doesn't know that. So during that period of time, you can always say, okay, if you need me, I'm here. You can talk, but not right now. I can't do it. Even say that. I've got so much going on in my life. And it might shock that person into the reality of, I can't keep, I'm going to say, dumping my stuff onto that person. Because if not, they may find somebody else and they'll start telling them, and they'll have the same situation again. They're going through it. So it's not easy. None of this is easy, actually, but it's what I feel that I'm being told to tell you.
No, everything makes sense. I guess one last thing as well, too. It's not really a question, it's just more of a comment. I guess to all the younger listeners out there, including your granddaughter and all that, just like stay off social media, put the phone down, go outside and interact with people.
Perfect.
Social media is going to destroy you mentally.
Luckily, my granddaughter is on the opposite side of this now. She's doing therapy for people. She's become a psychologist.
Awesome.
So she's probably telling them the same thing.
Yeah, probably.
I do. I feel like social media, especially lately,
Terrible.
You can scroll. There's nothing positive there. People are just about promoting themselves, selling something, or just bringing you down. There's nothing there, and we keep looking, and there's nothing.
I have my views on that. I totally, absolutely, 100% agree with you. But it becomes an addiction, and as you're older, this goes on into your adulthood, because and children see their parents doing that. So it's a very, very big addiction. Are we going to be able to stop it completely? No, but more that maybe the parents become aware that these kids they're following what they're seeing. And I heard something, I believe they're taking cell phones away in some of the schools.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know if it's Florida, but it is actually happening, which is good. There's going to be a tremendous uproar with that because they'll say they can't get hold of the kids. What did they do years ago? Admittedly, there's a different situation in this day and time, unfortunately, in the schools, but they'll still get hold of the child if you need them. I think that's, for me personally, if I had younger children and I heard that a school was doing that, I'd feel okay with that. For me personally, would be okay with that because it's constantly on the phone. And not only that, you've constantly got your head down. Steve went to, he has back pain, and the doctor actually said he's getting more and more people because their heads, from when they're little, they're like this. Well, you're going to get bad posture and get bad neck aches. So,
But what it's doing to the psyche, I think it's lowering the vibration. I feel like you're aliens, and I shouldn't say this,
No,
but
that's
I feel
fine.
like, I don't know whether it was a good thing that we brought the technology, or they're saying this is going to be the end of society as you knew it if less people change.
well, I believe that it's a little bit of both, actually, because I have never had, and it's known that I've been abducted, and I believe that I was a little while ago, actually. Again, I have not had a bad experience, but that doesn't mean to say, and when people say, well, there's bad aliens, I'm going to say they're here to help us. But as anything else, there are certain people that want to not let you know a lot of what's going on. So the best way to stop you from knowing is by giving you some sort of something that's going to take your mind off this. This is what's happening. Aldo used to say to me many times, my guide that was here, divide and conquer. So if you give somebody something that's going to take their mind off everything, whoever it is, it doesn't matter, but these wars and things are going to continue. And we're in such a lower vibration when we're listening to that. People are making all these wars, so they continue. And we go about our business, turn on the news, and then we get addicted to that, just as we do with social media. It's the same thing. So let's try, and we can't change our lives completely, but we can make the first step. And I believe that's what part of my journey is today, to tell people, try and let's bring a higher vibrational energy into the world. Having said that, and I've started to listen to some programs now too, people that speak the way that I am too, is that if we start doing this, it will work. I'm absolutely certain. We have a long road ahead of us and it may not happen, but if we've got to start somewhere in lifting our vibration, we've got to, because anytime you listen to the news, there's a war, there's bombing. Just think about this. It's ridiculous. We're killing each other. Why? In fact, I listened to something the other day just on that. Some aliens were listening. Look at them. They're killing each other. Now, they have probably gone through this too, but they've come out of that, for people that may understand this a little bit. So they're on the ones that I've obviously been talked to are on a higher vibrational energy. So they're watching us and they're trying to help us. But we've got to, as in anything, we've got to want to be helped. So the harder it gets, the more we get into that, it's harder to help us.
That's the hardest, I think, with everything, especially this time of year. It's really tough for people. It's tough for people that are single, looking for relationships. It's tough if you've lost a family member this past year or previously, what it brings up. Well, how can people elevate? I don't know, maybe one gift for Christmas is you spend an hour or two without your cell phones. I mean, it goes back to the simple things.
That will help. And I mean, I can relate to losing, I lost my daughter 2 years ago, and Hanukkah was her time of the year. And she would buy presents and presents and presents. And it brings back the memory of her. And I went to Mindy's for Thanksgiving, and I had a psychic sitting next to me. I showed her my daughter's picture, and she started to give me so many messages. So it was like, I don't get, as you do too, the messages from my daughter, because I think maybe I'm making it up. It's what I want to hear. But she started to tell me that she's happy, that my father is with her, my mother, everybody was there. And she told me a few things that nobody would have known. Wow. So I knew she was absolutely there. So believe, if I can tell you this, if you have loved ones that have passed during the holidays, talk to them as if they are here. You bring me messages from my daughter. They're not physicality, we can't necessarily see them, but I truly believe, I mean, how does someone tell me about my daughter something that I knew that no one else knew? As somebody that was sitting next to me having a Thanksgiving dinner. So talk to them. That helps. It helps us. And you will look for the signs. You'll see something will happen. Just keep that open mind.
What they tell you about Call Me Zena and your clothing line coming soon.
Yes, it's coming soon. Yes, I'm very excited about that. Yeah. So have a look out for my clothing line. It's going. I'm seeing the web people tomorrow. I'm redoing my whole web page. I've got shoes on there. I've got swimsuits. I've got hoodies. I've got everything. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun website.
And what's your collective telling you about the sense of the world as we coming into 2025? We're going to have a more positive energy, you think? We can bring it up?
I want to make my show a positive, but I think that it's just like anything else. Everything has to come to a head. So Mother Earth, although it's hard to understand, is a living entity.
True.
And that's why we have to be careful with what we're doing. So let's say, like, if someone keeps doing something to you, eventually you're going to explode. You're going, I've had enough. So sometimes we have to reach that point. As I believe Earth is happening, a lot of things may happen, but look at it that this has to happen because we've got to have change. So we may not like all that's happening. There's not much we can do about it except send vibrational energy there. But if we don't have change, actually nothing is going to change. It will change, but I'll say nothing. Yes, it will change, but it could be more negative. So we need the negativity a little bit more, and then let's all put positive vibrations out there, and hopefully it turns out the way that it will.
All right, so here's you got questions.
Okay.
Tracy, Mindy said, Mindy, I don't think we're frozen. Maybe just refresh your page. Tracy says, hi, all my girls. She says, and what should she ask for? She goes, what, ask now what? Like, what is she asking?
Who's that?
Tracy
is asking who she wants to know what?
What do you ask the guides?
Ask them whatever is on your mind, just like you're talking to a friend of yours.
Can she say, like, now what?
Tracy, you're talking to me right now, okay? You typed in. Okay, ask them, how are they doing? You will see something. However you want, just carry on a conversation. I mean, if in your car, no one's going to hear you, and it may not be the best time to do that because you're driving. But if you're home on your own, or I wouldn't suggest maybe doing it in a grocery shopping, but just talk, and you'll find something. You'll look at something, it'll remind you of somebody.
You might see a jar of tomato sauce, and you just never know what it's going to remind you of.
It starts the synchronicity. It starts that synchronicity.
So if everyone does that, it might give them hope, right? It might elevate.
Absolutely. It'll change, even if it's just for those few minutes. The pleasure. I mean, you've seen it happen. We've had it happen. I mean, Steve has had it happen. He sees it happening. The pleasure that it can give you, by saying, oh my gosh, be it just on a car, you'll see someone that you're talking about, the initials. Turn on the radio or whatever, Pandora. I sound old with the radio, but okay. You'll hear a song that will relate to that person that you were thinking about. It will happen. Absolutely it will happen. But you've got to believe it, and you've got to do it. Otherwise it won't.
So let me ask you, what do you see for the foundation and the studio happening?
I see all good things. Again, you have to put forward the effort, which you guys are doing, as in anything, Dawn. But as long as you know that it is going to be a success, it's everything that you want to make it. Now, there is really no time on the other side, so I'm going to say it may take a little time because you've got to get known. The only way to get known is doing what you're doing, because it doesn't always come to you. Okay, we have to make it known. As my art, on my clothing, I have to make that known. It's not, everybody's not going to start giving me orders if they don't know what they're ordering and where to look. Same thing with any project that you make. But you've started, and it will escalate because somebody else will say, well, let's do this. Then somebody else will say, let's do this. And you'll see it escalate into something big.
You see the vibration, the positive, it's being heard?
It's being heard, yes, absolutely. I mean, I went onto Facebook and there I saw it right away. So by doing just that alone, it gets the ball rolling, so to speak. So someone will tell someone and somebody else, because that's how we succeed. You know, you have the mouthpiece, you're able to do it here in the studio. Some people can't do that. So you do constantly bring it up, which is very good. And you'll have everything that you want from this foundation, and people will benefit very much from it.
Were you saying that it's going to benefit future students?
Future students, yes, because I believe, I don't know as much about it as I should, and I want to ask you, but I do believe it's for students, it's for younger people, so that they know and they are able to do what they want to do to get the training that they need. That's what they're telling me right now. And in order to get that training, they have to have some sort of income coming in. So if this helps students be able to survive before they can go out and get the job that they want, and I believe it's similar on the lines. I've never really completely asked you, but I see all the people here that come in. You're helping them. You're helping them be able to succeed later on in their life. And it's very, very, very valuable what you do here. Very, very needed.
What should we be doing next, or can they tell you?
Just stay where you are right now in order to help the students or whoever comes into the studio here that's learning, so that they can learn without the pressure of, oh my gosh, where is my next meal coming from? Because that's very difficult, you know, if you're not sure and you're doing something, but you have to start somewhere and learn. So if that can be alleviated slightly, just elevated a little bit, you're doing a good thing. And as long as that word gets out, and maybe even explain more about what exactly is that you're doing, so that people know that they're donating, or a raffle or whatever, towards helping younger people start a business, a career in what they want to do. Yes, it's very needed, especially in today's world. Excuse
Do you
me.
want to take another commercial break?
No, I'm fine. I'll be all right.
Because it's you and me right now, and everyone who's watching it and doing what they're doing.
It only takes one other person, Dawn. We have been kind of left here, but that's fine. I mean, I have the person I want sitting next to me asking me the questions. That's all we need.
So let's ask
And the
Elizabeth
calling.
what she has to say for this December 2nd.
Elizabeth has been trying very hard to get your attention, and she has got your attention, absolutely. She never leaves you, Dawn. I mean, yes, they have other things to do, but she's always around you, as me too. Someone that we knew in a previous life, I am certain, because how does her name appear on Steve's phone about something about our trip that we're taking? So she's getting, we know you're around. We know you're around, and she's helping you in your endeavors. She's actually using the word endeavors to tell me that. And everything that you want from what you need and want from this foundation is there for you. It's just we have to put in that little bit of effort, which of course you're doing. And for me too, to follow and do what I want to do, even at my time of my life. I can't keep saying my age, but at my time of life, to follow, because it gives us a purpose and a meaning. And if you're helping other people in the process, how rewarding can that be? And for me, even the show, my spiritual journey here, helps me personally. I love doing what I'm doing if it helps other people. It's all about helping. We help other people. And and when you do that, you get the greatest satisfaction. I'm not saying you go around all the time. I mean, here, I'm your helper, whatever you want me to do. But if you're doing something very meaningful for yourself, and you can pass that on by doing what you're doing and following your journey, it's very meaningful, especially in the way that life is today. We need people.
Do you ever look back before this book at the Sally before you wrote this, and to where you are now, and say, they're making me cough, looking at the journey of where you were and where you are now, and how you can teach that lesson? Maybe it's not your lesson, but the lesson that other people can travel their own journey?
Yes, because my lesson is a lesson so that I can teach other people. I was very different. I mean, things were happening to me, but I'm understanding much more now as Alda has passed and he's in another higher vibration, and he does talk to me. And I'm not saying he needed to go, but he needed to bring me to a certain point, because he understood, and I honestly believe that he knew what was ahead for me. He didn't want to tell me, because then, something might not happen, and I'll say, oh, well, whatever he said. It wouldn't have happened that way, but he didn't know that for sure. So everything I had learned up until this point actually was beneficial for me, but I didn't know it. When I changed, and literally overnight I changed, and Aldo came into my life the next day, then I started my journey from beginning to understand that there was so much more than just what I was doing at work. Having said that, we were working together in sales with maybe 80 other people. I kept getting people, I took people on tours, and they were relating to what I was talking about, that I heard someone say to me, go and draw. And I must have met 10 people that I used to go into their unit and talk to them more about they wanted to know what had happened to me, and they seemed to understand it. Now, I didn't know it was like a rotation, who was going to come forward and talk to me. And now I look back on that. My journey started before this, but the real journey of talking to me started when I started my book.
Were you always positive throughout life?
No, I was not. I openly say that I suffered very badly from depression as a child, and I don't, because if I say nothing, then I'm not being true to myself either. Yes, I had depression and anxiety for the first when I was younger. I had 2 children by the time I was 22. Little
That's
bit
tough,
young,
right?
yes, and I got married at 20, So it was difficult. It was difficult. But today, I don't regret anything I did. I came over here, I knew nobody from England, but it all leads you to a certain point in your life that things were opening up. I'm in a strange country, and suddenly people are coming up to me. I see it now. It's opened my mind more to what actually happened to me in my past.
Writing the book, or just looking back on your journey?
Well, looking back on my journey, I only put so much into my book that was happening to me. The fact that all these years I didn't know that I could paint. And then I'm painting, and I'm painting things from other lives. I did not always believe in previous lives, but I had the experience that I was able to draw and pull from other lifetimes and draw about it, not even understanding it. Am I alone with this? No, there's loads of people out there. Just look around, be aware, and if things start to happen, just believe that this can happen. And if I'm here by example to show people, these things happen to each and every one of us, we just don't know it. Got to lift that little bit of vibrational energy, and when you get there, you'll see and attract the people you've seen it in the cafe. How many people have come in because we're on a higher vibration? They feel that, and they don't even know that that's why they're here. But we recognize it, and they do too. Oh my goodness, was that a coincidence? No, it was synchronicity. So open up to that.
Do the guides ever get quiet and they just sit, or are they constantly in motion?
No, that's hard because I only hear them and see them, and they're obviously in motion. What they do, in fact, I actually have apologized to Aldo sometimes. I have a little light switch, and Steve can attest to this. If I say hello, it'll flick on and off. It really does. It's in the wall. It's a little tiny thing. I said to him the other day, I'm sorry, maybe you're busy. I got my pendulum because he used to use the pendulum. I'll say, are you here? And he'll go, yes. But, I feel guilty. I'm asking him too many questions a lot of the time. So, we're still here in our life. I'm not saying change any of what we're doing because we're here for a reason. But let's try to enjoy it more than what we do. And I'm a good example of trying to make it happen because I've done a lot of things that I look back on myself and say, how in the world did I do that? Well, I'm older, but I come to a strange country not knowing anyone in my 30s. That wasn't easy, but something was guiding me, and I didn't know this at that time, but I kept going. And yeah, I had some hard times, obviously, but it's all been worthwhile the latter part of my life. I wouldn't change anything.
What advice would you give to people doing the same type of change of life?
Well, I wouldn't say necessarily, do what I did because it was a little dramatic and some of the things that I did, but follow, and I will always say this, follow your passion. And if that passion takes you down a different road, I'm not saying give up because Unfortunately, we do need money and we need stability, but follow it how best you can. Because if you're doing something else and you've always wanted to do, maybe let's say art or something different than what you're doing, doesn't mean you can't do it. Follow it and see where it goes, because I truly believe once you're doing what you want, doors will open. Got to be aware those doors open, because they can open and close. But while they're open, think about it and go through it.
And then you can be so excited about having an opportunity and the door closes.
Yes, because sometimes we think too much about it, so we don't take that opportunity. Again, I will say that I do believe that opportunity will happen again if it's what we want. It may not happen in our time like tomorrow. It could be a few years down the road. But if you truly want it, it will surface again, somehow, maybe in a different situation. It's like that karma. If you're having karma and you want to settle karma with someone and you don't, it will happen again.
In the next lifetime.
In the next, or it can happen in this lifetime. I mean, with myself, no, I don't think I've got too many more opportunities in this lifetime as I'm getting older in my life. But age is only a number too. I feel that I've still got a lot to do here, and I will do the best that I can with what I have to do.
You've got a lot to do.
I do that, and thank you for reminding me. And it's people like yourself, Dawn, that continue to not make me, because I want to do what I'm doing, but to understand more what I'm doing. Because I mean, to find myself sitting here now 2.5 years, never done anything like this before. To be doing this, I have never been happier doing anything than I am sitting here.
Because there's so much noise on the outside, and I guess we can ask your cohort, the noise, is it meant to nullify or to make us lower our vibration, or are we somehow supposed to think through this? Because in my mind, I can't think through all the noise on the TV and the social media. There's no clarity of thought.
That's part of the game that they put upon us. Yes, no, we need to cut out some of that noise. I do not like going, I know that I've never really liked going into noisy places, but I've done it. Today I'm very aware, and I actually can say, no, I don't want to do that, because I know it's going to affect me. You've got to somehow get some clarity in your life. With all the noise around us, the television is never off. In fact, I mentioned that to Steve the other day, and I turned it off. I thought, my gosh, it's peaceful.
Yeah.
We don't constantly have to have background noise, because it doesn't give us the time to get into ourselves. Yeah, we have time, maybe we go to bed and we go to sleep, but we're asleep. Now, things can happen in our sleep, but we don't always remember. Many people, that's the only time they're quiet. Well, let's try and make some quiet time. Meditate, do something that maybe you do want to paint something. Maybe you like whatever you like to do. Go for a walk. People do that. But you come back to that noise, but it'll make you more aware that you're coming back into something that you want a little longer doing what you want. And every day it might get a little quieter and a little quieter. It's hard. We're thrown so many things at us. The TV, I mean, years ago, they didn't have that much. I mean, television used to go off in England with the national anthem at 11, you say it's 11 o'clock, and it didn't come back on. Here, I know that it was on a little longer, but we can shut it off. We can, but we've got to realize that we can.
Maybe that's the advice. I know we have about a minute left. The
Okay.
advice for the holiday season is turn off some of the outside noise.
Yeah, and play some beautiful holiday music and
Or just
make
talk.
yourself, or just talk. Yeah, or I try to
Read
sing.
or journal. Sally can sing for us.
That's something I can't do. But I'm getting a little better. I keep telling myself I can't do it, but in my car when no one can hear me, I'll say, yeah, you can sing, Sally, and it's not too bad. It's not great, but it's not
You've had
too
a minute. You want to wrap it up?
Okay, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Continue listening, and I really do appreciate my audience, and hopefully that you, as I am too, learning something from all this. Thank you. See you next week.
You have been watching Call Me Zena with your host, Sally Barnard. As an artist, author, and spiritual experiencer, know that you can always seek me out for resources by visiting artbysallybernard.com. Join us next week, Mondays at 2:30. Have a blessed day.